started here, now you've got dozens around the world. Now on the left is the Royal Air Force Bomber Command Memorial. This commemorates over 55,000 servicemen that were killed with bomber commands. So some said they're from Canada. Over 10,000 Canadians were killed in bomber command alone during the Second World War. Straight ahead, the New Zealand and Australia war memorials. They were also part of, actually a big part of bomber command as well. And on the right, you've got Wellington, the right side. Wellington Arch, built 1830 to form a ceremonial route from Hyde Park Barracks through here to your left, down Constitution Hill to the front of Buckingham Palace. Straight in front of you, there is the grounds of Buckingham Palace. So where the brown brick is, that's the walls, they're the grounds of the palace ahead of you. Look at the different colour, look at the rest of it. And then all this is a tourist entrance on the left being built, because probably very shortly it'll be open to the public till the 1st of October normally. Michelin Hotel. This was a 1960s office block, pulled down, replaced with this. Australia War Memorial to the right. And as we go around, we've just passed Mayfair. This is another top area of London to live, Belgravia. Used to be a private home on the right. Now take a picture down here, you've got all these chimney pots. It looks like a Mary Poppins film set. Look, the chimney sweep could be up there singing Chim Chim Chiroo on the right. There we are, mid-1800s. To the front, that was removed to where it is now in 1851 by Hyde Park and Oxford Street. So this bus, no bus is allowed to drive in front of Buckingham Palace. So this is the closest we can get to the site. Now that when Marble Arch was removed, a full side was created, and then that created the courtyard. Again, placed fencing and cameras along here because this is all Buckingham Palace. On the left. So all these grand houses, Mayfair, Belgravia, they had big houses, and then then they had at the back mews. They were the stables. They had their horses and carriages at the back. The servants that looked after the horses lived above the stables. In the house, they lived in the main roof of the house, in the attic. This is one of the very few working mews, because this is the royal mews where the horses and carriages are on display. They were all out for just a couple of weeks ago now, we had the state visit of the Emperor of Japan, and they had a horse-drawn parade with troopers, guards, going from Horse Guards Parade up to Buckingham Palace. Look to the left-hand side. That's the entrance to the stables. Not bad, is it, on the left? There, the windows at the top, that's the flats for the servants. This is the oldest part, the Royal Riding School, 1760s. Now this was built as part of Buckingham House, which was Queen Charlotte, George III's Queen had it built for her house. That was replaced to your left coming up now, Buckingham Palace Square. There's been camera crews all around. Look, I'm sure there's tripods everywhere, reporters. You've got Nelson Mandela's statue, Gandhi, Abraham Lincoln, other former prime ministers from the United Kingdom like Disraeli, Palmerston, Hill. You've got second half of the First World War, Lloyd George Prime Minister, Churchill's Prime Minister for most of the Second World War. There we are, there's a constant queue. They're here all the time. Oh, there's a big crowd there. Normally they do one or two, about a dozen. Look at that view. Look at the sun on Big Ben. Can you get this in? Is that what you call bling? This is the Palace of Westminster, the Parliament for the whole of the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. It looks very old. It's deliberate. It was actually built in the 1840s to 1870s, but the architecture is of the late early 1500s. What you're seeing here is what they rebuilt. There's a terrible fire that destroyed most of the old Parliament, the old House of Commons, House of Lords. Parliament afterwards was rebuilt, and there was a competition actually, and that they said the stipulation was it had to look Gothic. So the architecture is late 14, early 1500s, but built 1840s, 1870s. Westminster Hall with the big roof to the right, that survived the fire. That was originally a medieval. So when it's busy, they're all standing. They sit on stairs, stand up. Bells, Big Ben, famous bell, that's why it's called Big Ben, weighs 13.5 tons, rings on the hour. Small bells on the quarter hour, and it's looking gorgeous because for 5 years it was covered in scaffolding. And they completely refurbished it, including bringing back the original colour scheme. Look closely at the hands, it's blue. It's not black, it's a Prussian blue. It's not been that colour since the 1930s. They painted it black to hide. Doing it is get everybody out and do it in one go over 6 or 7 years. How much do you think the estimate is to redo Parliament? Give us a number. Go on. Give audience participation. Westminster Bridge, it's green because this side of Parliament is the House of Commons. It's red on the other side because that side is the House of Lords. Left hand side, Hungerford Railway Bridge linked to Charing Cross Station. There's the London Eye, 32 pods, 32 London boroughs. It takes half an hour to go around. It's all about the views. County Hall, once the whole of London government, 1922 to 1986. Now hotels, bars, restaurants, the Shep's Adventure, London Dungeon, Sea Life Aquarium. Look behind you, that's the best view of Parliament you'll get. Look behind, take a picture. Top of the bus, overlooking Westminster Bridge and River Thames, that's the best view. By a bombing during the Second World War. So this is going to be locked down because it's had its day. Look at it, that's going to go. This has all been in, this has all been redeveloped. So in the early 60s they built the Shell International Headquarters, and now a lot of it's gone and replaced with a mixture of offices and apartments. This has all gone up the last 6-7 years to the left. So what's happening is a lot of the post-war architecture is being replaced. Anything older is normally protected. So to your right is the front of Waterloo train station, biggest in the UK, 24 platforms. So we're going to see that in a few moments on the right. We're going to go under the railway bridge. It's an industry, creative. On the left, that's the picture. Look at that. Big Ben behind the London Eye. Left-hand side, Cringles the Hall, personal room, Hayward Gallery. We're going over Waterloo Bridge. Side of the river, we've got the green tile here. That's this one of the river, everybody. This is the ladies' bridge. Women built this during the Second World War. Green tile is the Majestic Hotel. Then we've got the old show UK quarters, the Delphi building, Charing Cross Station. You've got Hungerford Railway Bridge. There's a train going into the station. The yellow one, yellow colour buildings, the old Metropolitan Hotel in the 1870s. Left of that four green roofs, Ministry of Defence. This new Scotland Yard, 2000 Westminster Abbey, Big Ben Parliament, the United Kingdom Trophy here to your left. Tomorrow, big day, the outcome of the general election will be known. Tonight is the If you turn to your right, that's the dome of St Paul's Cathedral and the skyscrapers of the City of London. 1 square mile, the original park, founded by the Romans 2,000 years ago. They called it Londinium. It's got skyscrapers there because it's still, to this day, one of the great financial centres of the world. Hence the reason skyscrapers are here. I can see a plane just took off. And that's London City Airport, formerly part of the docks, now a small airport in the distance. So again, everybody, please remain seated. I've got cameras on me, I've got drones on me following us. Drones. Did anyone see the military helicopters flying around earlier? We had Apache gunships flying over the Thames. All sorts. What was it? You said it was doing the election? Possibly. On the right hand side is Somerset House, neo-classical design. This was built as naval offices, 1770s. Then it became the Public Record Office. They moved out, and now it's bars, restaurants, art institutions. It's got a lovely courtyard that 30 years ago was a car park for civil servants. Now it's used like outdoor cinema in the summer, ice skating in the winter. If anyone's looking, listen very carefully. If you want to go out after this bus tour, get something to eat, get socially relaxed, that's what we call it on a family rated bus, you're on holiday. Get yourself maybe a porter. Have you heard of the drink called porter? A strong version of it is called stout porter. Stout means strong. The word port has disappeared, but you heard of the word stout. That's what it means, stout porter. Well, Arthur Guinness came here and loved this black thing. It's called porter after the Covent Garden porters that worked here. They were the ones that were moving all the crates of fruit, vegetable, flowers. It was a flower market. Have you seen the film My Fair Lady? This is it. Covent Garden, Eliza, Flower Girl. Well, what do you want? In other words, discover old school London, the old school London of a film set. That's what it is like here. You've got, this is the beginning of Theatreland. You've got Lyceum, Theatre 1834. You've got Lion King. It's this time of day when they probably might be opening up soon for the shows. 7 o'clock, 7:30. So you've got Lion King, you've got up the road, you've got the theatre, you've got the Royal Opera House 1858. Now it was built in the early 1600s. It was the first first square, Covent Garden Piazza, built for the Welfare Society. They moved out a century later because they were fed up with all the market stalls and everything and all the noise, the hustle and bustle. Most of the buildings there are 1800s. There it is. You've got lights, you've got the Lyceum Theatre, so Covent Garden, next door, Seven Dials. I highly recommend daytime or evening. It's one of the best areas to explore. Anyone speak German? We're on Strand. Strand means beach. This is not a beach view. Left hand side you've got Frozen, the Theatre Royal, Drury Lane, early 1800s. A fellow theatre, India High Commission. When you're a Commonwealth country, it's not called an embassy, it's called the High Commission. Left hand side, Waldorf Hotel. Tina Turner musical, and then you've got Bush House in the 1930s, one of the most expensive office buildings. Now it's a new college through King's College London. For the last decade they transferred the format into a college. I mean, this is the biggest change. In 60 years ago, early 1960s, 4% of the population went to university. Now it's almost 50%. So lots of polytechnics became universities. Old universities expanding. It's a massive increase in student numbers, and particularly in London as well. Some of the best universities in the world, in the top 20. We are leaving the city of Westminster, one of the 32 London boroughs. We're now going into the city of London, 1 square mile. Now just see that red phone box is behind us, it says Bell Yard, take a picture, because Tom Cruise ran from here and they filmed Mission Impossible 6 Road Nation. And then through that gatehouse that dates from 1684, down Middle Temple Lane, and then they had a shootout at night in all these lovely old buildings behind here. So Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible 6. Take a picture behind you. Could we get more? American Independence Day today. Might be an event, maybe they have next events here. So we went Strand, we're now Fleet Street. Remember Fetter Lane, I'll be talking about that later. Now Fleet Street, this is the home of the British newspaper industry. Can you imagine thousands of printers down one street? And journalists. Do you reckon they had lots of cups of tea? Oh yes they did. This is one of their famous watering holes. This is one of the best old pubs in London, always been the top 10 of any list. The Old Cheshire Cheese dates from 1667. Mark Twain, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Charles Dickens had drunk in that boozer. Now this is the old Daily Telegraph building and the old Daily Express building coming up to the left. Now as we go down, it's called, we're on Fleet Street. Now it's called that for a good reason, because it leads to the River Fleet. Can you see the river in front of me? It's there. If you can, you've got very good eyesight because it's in a tunnel underground now. It's one of the dozens of hidden rivers. As London has grown enormously over the centuries, swallowed up the countryside, these rivers, streams, tributaries of the Thames have been put underground, under buildings and roads, and they're still flowing into the Thames. This is one of the most famous, the River Fleet. So the river flows free, goes left to right, 300 metres into the Thames. Maybe a bit more, maybe 500. So it goes to the right hand side. This was a major transport artery. The goods people went along the river because it was just outside the western wall. So we're approaching the west of the city wall. Now, most big cities in Europe and Britain had walls for defence. So it was a 2.2 miles, just under 3 kilometres of wall. You had west, north, east, the southern boundary, you had the River Thames. So you would have you heard the saying, Thursday's the new Friday? That old chestnut. Yes, have you heard this? Because a lot of people, you know this hybrid working, guess what? When people work from home, what days do they normally try? Fridays and Mondays. Long weekend. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So now I'm going to show you the air conditioning for a British pub. Okay. Are you ready? Yeah. I can hear them already. It's always like this on a Thursday, when there's nice weather. Because no one drives to work. Why would you in London? Never, unless you had to, if you was a delivery driver or a taxi, you know. So everyone gets public transport, so then they can go out after work. Look left. This is what I mean. Look at this lot. Big Glastonbury. There's more. Look. This is how we do it. Unfortunately, I can't stop the bus. Maybe in the good old days in the 60s and 70s you could get away with things like that. Not now, cameras. I'll tell you what the biggest, like, we've got Guildhall to the left, which is where the City of London Corporation is run from. So remember, the city is the proper London, where it all started. 1 square mile. The rest of London, 667 square miles. But that's not London or Greater London. You say the city of London, this is where we are. Now, we've had a Lord Mayor of London since the late 1100s. Magna Carta 1215, one of the few clauses that's still in effect, is the rights and privileges of the citizens of London to choose their government and run themselves, i.e. the alderman of the city and the Lord Mayor, which is nowadays a mostly ceremonial figurehead elected for 1 year. On the right, this is not a bad perk of the job. That's 1752 on the right, columns, blue railings. That is Mansion House. That's where the Lord Mayor lives. Not bad, is it? They don't have the whole building. They've got the flat in the roof. The rest of it is used for dignitaries, events, speeches, dinners, you name it. The main job is to promote London as a financial centre. So straight ahead, another neoclassical design. The Royal Exchange Building, 1844, was a trading floor, now bars, restaurants and shops. On the left is the old Bank of England pub, the lower part early 1800s, the upper part 1930s. Ahead of us, we're going to approach one of the most important areas of London. There's a chapter of the history of London. 2nd of September, in the year 1666, Thomas Fariner owned a baker shop in Pudding Lane. He was a king's baker. Woken up at 2 in the morning. The ovens hadn't been put out properly. The embers had gone onto the wooden building. Caught light. He tried to put out the fire, he fell. The flames spread to neighbouring houses and then streets, and because a strong easterly wind fanned the flames, an inferno developed over 5 nights and 4 days. The fires raged across London. They went Pudding Lane ahead of us, past this bus, past St Paul's, and destroyed the medieval cathedral, over the River Fleet. And remember Fleet Street, I said remember Fetter Lane, all the way back there. There at Fetter Lane, they blew up wooden houses to form fire breaks. But by the time they stopped it there, we'd lost over 80% of London. That is why it's called the Great Fire of London, 1666. Previous year, we had a terrible plague that killed a third of the population, 100,000. That's why it's called the Great Plague of London. Has anyone heard of this nursery rhyme? Oranges and lemons to the bells of St Clement's. The nursery rhyme about the churches. That is it, the Oranges and Lemons Church. So are you ready? I'm going to show you where in the 1670s they built the largest freestanding stone column in the world, called the Monument. So the monument of where the Great Fire of London started. This is it to the left. The top of it is a golden flame sculpture. If it falls down, it will land where Thomas Fariner's baker shop once stood on the left. That's the monument. We're going, are you getting excited everybody? Calm yourselves down. We're going to go over the London Bridge. But unlike that famous song, it's not going to fall down. Do you know why? Because it's made out of concrete, built in 1973. The only reason why tourists go onto London Bridge is to look at the other one. There it is, Tower Bridge. What a gateway to London. Tower Bridge and Warsham HMS Belfast. This light cruiser fired one of the first shots of the D-Day landing on 6th of June 1944 in Normandy, France. 2/3 of the troops that landed on the first day of D-Day were Canadian and British. Next to your left, the second London Bridge was built here, just your left. Early 1830s was sold to the Americans in 1967 and now stands in Lake Havasu, Arizona. The original London Bridge and buildings all along it, the drawbridge in the middle, the tower and the drawbridge at this end. And on that drawbridge were lots of spikes. What were they for? People's heads. The trees would be hung, drawn and quartered, and your head would be stuck on the entrance to London Bridge. Behind you, the skyscrapers, we'll have to give them nicknames. One of them's called the cheese grater because of the shape. But if you make something that looks like a Pringle, people are going to call it a Pringle. Behind you, Borough Market. There's another place you could go out afterwards. Borough Market is one of the several Victorian markets that are now where hipsters go. Artisan coffee. Now, what does artisan coffee mean? When I grew up, it was instant, and we were happy. Yeah, we didn't even. Until the 1980s, didn't get bottled water. It was tap water. The world has changed. Straight ahead. On the right, this is what happens when you spend £1.5 billion doing up a station. 15 platforms now lit with lifts and escalators. Now the biggest change in 2,000 years of history of London is the fact that when the Romans chose to build Londinium, it was its access to the River Thames and the fact that 30-40 miles down you get to the estuary to the North Sea and join the rest of the Roman Empire. So for 2,000 years the River Thames was where we traded. The Port of London expanded dramatically over the century. So by the 1930s it went from London Bridge 8 miles downriver either side. All of these, look at these that brick building, look at that, was Hayes Wharf, 1850s. That was one of the mile after mile of warehouses and wharfs. That's called Hayes Galleria, offices now. What happened was in the 1960s they invented container ships. These vessels were far bigger than what had ever been built before. And they were too big, they couldn't come up the River Thames into London. So between the mid-1960s, gradually downriver, they closed until 1981. Look at this on the right, this was a dockers pub. Now it's full of people wearing suits. So on the left is the fire brigade station. A lot of these old buildings now have been, this is a fire brigade station, that's Wishford. Some of these older buildings have got new uses, some of them are new, like PwC, Pricewaterhouse Cooper. This red brick building coming up the left, that was just ahead of us now. This was St Olave's Grammar School, 1855 to 1967, empty for decades. Then they redone it, 7 years ago now, as a new 5-star hotel. Look how lovely it is, look at all the nice plants, shrubs, flowers. Now have your cameras ready everybody, because we're about to go over Tower Bridge itself. I'm not saying it's the best bridge in the world, because I could upset somebody from like San Francisco, Brooklyn, New York, Sydney, but it's up there, isn't it? It's one of the most iconic, famous bridges or buildings. And it looks like a castle. That was deliberate, because the castle is on the other side, right next to it, other side of the river. It's built, Horace Jones was the architect. Unfortunately, he died not long after designs were completed. Another architects completed it, so it was finished in 1894. Now London Bridge for centuries, from the late 1100s to 1750, was the only bridge across. Now from 1750 onwards, further bridges have been built west but nothing east downriver, because that's where the docks was. A normal bridge would block river traffic. So this is a Bastille Bridge, which means the bridge raises up and tall ships can pass through. Look behind you, the sun's behind it. Get the shot in. 1,016 foot, the tallest building in the UK. It's got bars, restaurants, shops, offices, luxury apartments. So there it is, Tower Bridge. Now, if you're here for a few more days, I hadn't been here for many years. The last mate, my mate came down from Scotland, stayed with me, and he wanted to go, and I was blown over. I couldn't remember how good it was. You can walk between the two towers. You've got videos, information, photographs, really informative. And then it used to be 88 people worked here. You had stokers shoveling coal into boilers. The steam-powered machinery would power the bridge going up and down. Now, late 70s, they converted it to electricity. So on the left, that was the bridge master's home. Now, this offices for Tower Bridge. Then on the right, underneath here is where the steam-powered machinery still is. It's wonderful looking ornate machinery. It's on display. So part of the Tower Bridge experience, you get to see this. Now on the left, here, it used to be all cranes. Look up now, everyone's sitting down, chilling out, taking selfies, a lovely picture. In other words, you could not get near that river unless you was a doctor on Sunday. On the right, look how far the tide's gone out. Look at all the people down there on the right, because that used to be a jetty where boats would run low to get onto Butler's Wharf. Now multi-million-pound flats. Look at the distance, all those skyscrapers, what's that, about 3 miles downriver? That's the Isle of Dogs, Canary Wharf. It's like a big horseshoe shop on the right. 40 years ago, nothing there. Look above you. You can walk between the two towers above you. Behind you, get a view of the main towers behind you. That is the castle. It's a real one, not a make-believe one, known as the Tower of London. The tower, it's always called the tower, it's the keep. That's the tower in the middle. Now this was originally wooden, started in 1066, William the Conqueror, the last person to successfully invade and conquer this country, hence the name Conqueror. So we've almost had 1,000 years of independence. In European historical terms, it's a miracle. It's called the English Channel. It's handy to have a bit of water. We've had a few near misses over the years. Now on the left, that is the oldest part. The tower only dates from 1078. The walls came to 5 centuries. Water moat surrounded the outer wall. It was a palace, a prison. Anne Boleyn stayed here before her. I've been to Anne Boleyn's home in the castle. She stayed here before her wedding to Henry VIII. A few years later, she stayed here before she was beheaded. Bit of a turnaround of events. So if you're going to go get here in the morning, spend most of the day here. Got the crown jewels, one of the great treasures of the world. Used a lot of the crowns, the sceptres, used in the coronation service last year. But also at the time of the times for the deeply so left hand side, look left and behind you. There it is on the left, there is the castle and Tower Bridge in the background. to your left, I mean that's 200 years old. The government, they reckon what the government's going to do, or the authorities, they might allow it to be converted to another use. It's protected, they can't knock it down. This is Billingsgate Fish Market. This is one of the main fish markets for London. Now, until 1981, now it's being used. So we've got more on the right. Anyone would think 500,000 people work here. One of the things that's totally changed is people. I mean, I'm not making this up. Late 70s, even to the early 80s, there used to be bars in the fire brigade stations. An ex of mine used to work in the civil service. They had subsidised bars in the civil service on the premises. That's the big change. Alcohol in the workplace. That's the big change. If anyone's watched that TV show Mad Men, I mean 40, 50 years ago you saw your bank manager and they'd offer you a drink. And the drinks cabinet in the office. Now you'll get water with a bit of lemon. Left hand side, St Magnus the Martyr. People used to walk through this church to the left over the original London Bridge. The best close-up view of the Dome of St Paul's. Now halfway up, can you see where the columns are? There's a round balustrade balcony there, and above the dome below the cross there's another round balcony. So you've got two viewing areas. And if you are in London for a few more days, some of these buildings, if you've not already seen it, this should be among, no, you can see Westminster Abbey, this is another one that should be on your list. A marvellous, one of the best views in London, the great west front of St Paul's Cathedral. The architect Sir Christopher Wren took 35 years to build, completed in 1710. Look at the size of the columns, the bell, clock towers, and ahead of us, this is the gatehouse. Look, blue plaque of the church, site of Ludgate, demolished 1760. The gatehouse was here. We would have gone through here, what a site, early 1700s. So 1710 is just completed. I had the state funeral here at Winston Church from 1965. 1852, the Duke of Wellington, who's buried underneath, as well as Admiral Lord Nelson, 1806. Lady Diana married with Prince Charles in 1981, and to the left of the steps, do you remember Mary Poppins feed the birds tuppence a bag? Yeah. That's where the lady was feeding the birds on the corner. Although it wasn't filmed here, because not 1 minute of Mary Poppins was filmed in London. It was all Burbank Studios, California. Although the second one started with Mary Poppins Return. Right hand side, this is the Millennium Bridge that leads to the Tate Modern Gallery. Yeah, the Millennium Bridge, Tate Modern on your right.